Hello, it's Diana Marchand, and I'm just on the dock, so I just got to watch that tripod's not too steady. It's a little crooked too, isn't it? I want to talk to you today about food combining. It's still crooked. Anyways, food combining. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, so if you haven't heard of food combining, you can Google it because there's actually quite a lot to it, but I want to just talk about some simple rules and what it is kind of and how it can help you. Thing about food combining is it can really help your digestion. So if you have anything like acid reflux, if you have any digestive problems, constipation, bloating, any of that sort of thing, like really distress, and especially after you eat, you have a lot of problems, this could be something that may really help you. It really helped me. I have had digestive problems since I've been in my 20s. I was diagnosed with IBS in my 20s, and I totally believe it was all about food combining, because once I fixed the food combining, I didn't have as many problems, right? Now, when we go through the midlife change, we can again, my digestive problems got really bad. And that's also because of hormones and because of how our body in the midlife phase processes certain carbohydrates and stuff. So that makes a big difference. Our body's also a lot more sensitive, right? Well, what food combining is I was raised meat and potatoes, right? Most people are. And if you watch any of the food shows or the cooking shows, or maybe you go out for dinners, any of our holiday dinners always combine, right? A meat or fish, whatever, with a starch like potatoes, pasta, rice, just to name a few, bread, right? And then vegetable. And vegetables kind of, unfortunately, the afterthought, and it's usually the smallest portion. But you have like your big portion of carbohydrates, the starch as they call it, and then you have your big portion of meat, and then the vegetables are like, whatever we have, a little bit divided up by 10, and you get this little tiny portion of vegetables. That's the problem with our meals. But what happens is when you consume foods like that, like a meal like that, your body can't digest it properly. You give off digestive enzymes to produce either a starchy carbohydrate or a meat, or a protein. I shouldn't say meat. Protein, okay? Well, what happens is if you eat them both at the same time, one is going to get digested better than the other one, and the other one's not going to get digested better. Now, after you eat something heavy too, so you've got two heavy foods, right? You've got your meat, which is harder to break down, really heavy, harder to digest. And then unless it's fish is pretty easy. And then you have your starch, like the starchier things like rice, potatoes, pasta. Those things take a lot longer and they're harder to digest. So when you have a meal that contains both of those, not only is it bad for your digestion because only one gets digested properly, it also takes up a lot of energy. So our digestion, like actually the whole act of breaking our food down and digestion, takes energy from us. So that's why often after the big heavy meals, especially family meals, people are so tired. They just want to sleep because your body's going to use all your energy now. It needs more energy to do the digestive process. And you've probably eaten some very heavy, foods that take a lot more to break down. So when your body can only start breaking down either the protein or the carbohydrate, what happens is, so let's say it starts with the protein, the carbohydrate is just sitting there. And if you think of it, it's kind of like rotting and getting all, and spoiling and rotting and kind of fermenting. Fruit tends to ferment for sure. And so that sits there and it doesn't get broken down. Now, when you don't have food, when your food doesn't break down properly in the digestive system to be eliminated from your body, it gets stuck in your intestines or bowel, wherever, right? In these little pockets. And so it gets lodged in there and stuck in there. What happens is it just continues to spoil and get worse and worse and form bad bacteria. And it can start seeping through the lining of the intestines. And that can cause like leaky gut syndrome, which they link now to like lots of autoimmune diseases, lots of illness. So all of these things can be going on. Now we are so used to, because you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why for so long did people eat like that? Well, people used to work really hard in the farms, right? So they needed something for energy, which was those carbohydrates, and then they didn't have a lot of vegetables, maybe only vegetables in the summertime. So they ate a lot more of the root and starchy vegetables with their meat, so a lot of stews and meat, putting those two together. I'm not sure about why and how their body was more easily able to break that down at that phase, at that time. But I mean, really, Even the breads, the pastas was so much different then, right? They said since about 19 in the, I don't know what year, the bread and the wheat and all that, the wheat I should say, has really been screwed around with. And so it's not even real anymore. It has really no nutrients in it. There's not a lot of fiber in it. So really not getting the good fiber to move things through our system either. So if you're consuming a lot of like conventional meats, which contain a lot of hormones, antibiotics, well, bad things, right? You don't want those in your body. Growth hormones, think about it. You're just going to keep getting fatter and fatter. You're going to grow yourself bigger, right? So that's kind of the process. Now, if you eat fruit, you might have heard have fruit in the morning and on its own, only have fruit on its own. I'm okay with that, and part of it I'm not okay with. When you're in midlife, if you have just fruit on its own, it's going to be seen as sugar and it'll go right to fat, okay? That's midlife. As a child, when you're growing up, your husband, whatever, can probably tend to have fruit. But if you have fruit after a heavy meal or after you've eaten something and that meal is still sitting in there digesting slow, and then the fruit comes in and it's watery and it's sugary, it can break down really fast. It wants to break down, it can't. So it sits on top of the undigested food and it starts to ferment, bubble, and spoil, causing gas, uncomfortableness, bloating, blah, right? Again, can cause problems in the gut. So fruit only first thing in the morning. You want to eat the food that is lighter first so that it can digest and break down first, then the heavier food after. Of course, you can wait 3 to 4 hours in between meals. My digestive system is very slow. So if I don't eat meat, but if I was to eat meat, I'd have to wait like 5 hours, maybe even way longer before it's been digested. Some people it's very fast. So you're going to know by how you feel. If you feel kind of bloated, uncomfortableness, kind of burpy, or acid reflux starts to come up, your food is not being digested properly, right? So in the morning, when I say fruit by itself in the morning, if you're in midlife, fruit with the smoothie is probably one of the best things because you can combine it with things like chia gel, hemp seeds, fresh greens. Fresh greens are like protein and fiber. Hemp and chia are they're complete proteins with tons of fiber and lots of good oils too, right? Essential fatty acids, essential oil, omega-3s. So that is such a perfect combination. When you have fruit on its own, it's basically seen like sugar. It would spike your blood sugar level, and also your body goes, ooh, sugar, I'm just going to put it right to fat. When you have fruit combined in a smoothie, a little bit of fruit combined in a smoothie with the vegetables, the greens, maybe some of the mineral rich super powders, some chia and some hemp, which are some good fats too. That way it's more of a balance. It doesn't spike your blood sugar level. It's more of a balance, right? So that's how you can combine fruit with those things. Fruit can be combined with certain vegetables, okay? Especially in your smoothie. Also, you're breaking it all down into something that it's like you've chewed it a lot. It's already a liquid, right? So you're not, so you're just drinking it in. It goes right into your bloodstream, and you'll get the benefits of the energy and the good nutrients in your body first thing in the morning. So that's my little spew on food combining. So yes, it seems very weird. You would have your meat with vegetables and or greens, right? Like, sauteed kale, things like that, right? So your proteins, your meat, your fish, chicken, whatever you have, mixed with just vegetables or greens. Then if you want some carbohydrates, which in midlife, starchy carbohydrates cause weight gain, so you would be decreasing those. But if you do have any rice or pasta or any potatoes or anything like that, you have them with vegetables, not meat, okay? It is truly serious. Our digestive system is extremely important to us. It's how when it's healthy, we can absorb the nutrients coming from the food. When it's not healthy, we don't absorb the nutrients properly. Therefore, we can end up malnourished, right? We don't receive the proper nutrients from our food. And that's, supplementation is very important in midlife too, because you need a lot of minerals, a lot of minerals. So if your digestive system is compromised and you're not eating properly and it's not absorbing the nutrients properly, your hormones are going to be out of whack. They're not getting fed properly. So your glands aren't going to be able to produce the hormones properly. Therefore, your body is going to stay even more out of balance. You're going to have way worse symptoms for longer, and the weight gain, and you probably you'll be stuck. You won't be able to lose the weight. You won't be able to stop the symptoms. You'll have crazy hot flashes, all these things, right? Because your body's not getting the proper nutrients it needs to better balance your body. And that's what I help with in all of my programs. You can go to my site, dianamarchand.com, And I have some free things that you want to listen to. You can sign up, you can get some trainings, some free trainings. And then I'll often have one of the programs that I'm running at the moment. And I'm always available to do one-on-one coaching. You can do a one-time session. You can do a package of 3 one-time sessions. You can do a 4-week or 6-week one-on-one where you have your own web page, you have all your own specific videos, 1 hour coaching with me every single week live on video. Both of us, we can talk back and forth like Skype kind of. You get all your information, and it's all, of course, customized for you. That's where you're going to get the biggest changes and the biggest results, is because we're working with you directly. All right, so feel free to reach out to me, dianamarchand.com. Find me on Facebook, and make sure to be a part of my Facebook community, Women Creating Healthy Lives. All right, much love to you. Bye-bye.